All right, and here we have round 7. This one's against Kane. Not quite a mirror match. I think we're like 70, I don't know, probably 71 cards out of 75. So basically a mirror match. Spoiler alert, it does not go well, which is always fun. I think my first mistake right off the bat here, I keep a real stinker. Had functional mana. I don't think it's that bad. I think it gets particularly punished, one, by good play, which I think is part of the problem here. I would expect Kane to be able to punish my my lack of action here, whereas some players will probably play it too cautiously, but I'm sure they would keep it kind of keep me honest on that. And the other is that my Gitaxian Probe is really good at telling me what to play around and how to proceed, but I have no real agency in how the game's going to proceed from there because I have a Force of Will and nothing. And I can't even cast my Lurrus, so there's just a lot wrong here. Maybe if this Valk were a Tundra, or this Wasteland were a Tundra, maybe if this Ruby were a Pearl, if I had just one cantrip. There's a lot here. This hand's really close. But I mean, I probe into Force, and I see what's going on here, but this is still, like, this is not good for me. So Kane's hand is also really reactive, but what they'd have different than me is that Consider is, I think, really important here. Plus they're going to get an extra card here on their draw step, so I'm just not feeling good about my spots here. I play the Ruby out and pass. I think I also should have played the... No, I should not have played the Tundra. I don't want to get it wastelanded. And the other thing is, I know now my Wasteland's going to be really bad here because there's no way I can cut on a color. But so here's where it really goes bad. So Gitaxian Probe back. So now not only do we both have full information, more or less. I mean, I'm short a couple of cards, so Flooded Strand is spent. But Kane knows I only have one Forced here. I have no other action. So draw Breach for this turn. It's actually a really good draw. It kind of opens up a lot of combo kill lines that kind of out of nowhere. But I just pull up Lurrus and pass the turn. But again, this is the real problem here. If I had a castable Lurrus, or I had a Mishra's Bauble in the graveyard, or Black Lotus, goodness. This hand goes a lot differently, but I have none of those things, and so the things that could have got me to keep an action light hand are I'm in a bad spot. So as long as King doesn't just do nothing, I'm screwed. I let the Monkey resolve because I know there's a Pyroblast here. I know there's a Force of Will here, so fighting over it, I need to dictate the terms of when we fight. So there's two ways of pushing through this kind of interaction here. One is you just trade resources and get to where at least you have a window. So if I had 2 extra blue cards, for example, maybe I force one, they pyro, I force back, they force. All right, well now at least the battlefield is clear and I can go in. Or maybe that last force doesn't get cast because they need to respect Underworld Breach or something like that. But even then, I would probably save my interaction to be resolving the breach. So I just don't, fighting over it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I go after the Valk. So my thinking there, and I think this still tracks, is that the way I'm way behind here. This Ragavan is so bad for me. Partly because I can't even cast the Lurrus, partly because even if I cast the Lurrus, I don't have anything going on. I'm gonna get buried by this Ragavan. So I need to restrict something, and at least by that, that means if they're going to use that Ragavan mana, it's going to cost them as if they're going to use mana, it's going to be Lotus Petals, and King Considers and taps, and so I think wasting there is fine. It's not like mana is my bottleneck. It's not going to be this whole game. The one downside of wasting there is that it takes me off of Hardcast Force next turn. But I think if my plan is to Hardcast Force next turn, I'm down real bad. So, another waste. I think I probably do it again, is my guess, on upkeep. Or I guess now I'll do it on... and here I'm just like, there's no play here. I can't really... I can't beat Mystical for Ancestral. So, I'm going to try. This is, round 7 of a Premier event, X and 1, so obviously going to try. But Kane plays this really well. Just, patiently, like no reason to push anything if it's not there. Cast Ponder, cast my Ponder, and then it starts taking me off white. And so from here, I just don't know if there's any combination of cards that will be back in. I can't even fight over the Ancestral because I know the Pyroblast and I know the Force is sitting back there. I can't get back into it. Even if I could cast my Lurrus, I can't get back into it because of the swords. This game is going to take a few turns to close because it's played so patiently, but this game has been over for 2 or 3 turns here. Basically having to hope that I can draw into enough problematic support from my Breach that I can punch through this, but Kane's is able to resolve Expressive, resolve 2 Ancestrals, has 7 cards in hand. Like there's nothing here. I think I was at least one interaction spell short of being able to stay in this game, let alone actually get ahead at all times. And that was after I think I drew very, very well to be able to get into that position and cast both forces. But game is over here. So sideboarding. I think I sideboarded poorly here. I left my Crypts in my board. I boarded out a Wasteland. I boarded out Force of Negation, and I boarded out Flusterstorm. I boarded out Dress Down. I boarded in Swords to Plowshares. I boarded in Pyroblasts. So I have all 4 Pyroblasts in the deck, or 3 Pyros and a Red Elemental Blast. I don't have any Tormod Scripts. I think I have too many Baubles in the deck. I think one of these Tormod Scripts should be in the deck. I don't know about the second one, but I think the first one should be. Because as it turns out, this is actually a really... So Lurrus is so good in these mirrors that... So it's good. Swords answers it really cleanly, right? So you need to be able to bring something back on board immediately. Otherwise, it's really hard to justify casting it. But once you do, like, it's answered cleanly by Swords to Plowshares, and both of our decks don't have very many good Swords to Plowshares targets otherwise. Like, creature suite of like 5 creatures, 7 creatures, plus a Lurrus. So those swords can kind of keep all of that together. But having a Crypt means their Lurrus is never going to get that initial value, or rarely going to get that initial value, and I think that's probably worth it. Let's see. I keep what I think looks like a great hand, right? I don't have a second blue card. I think this is a keep, though. We'll see how it goes poorly. Play the Pearl and pass. So Sapphire, Tundra, Time Walk. Yep, can't do anything about that. Volk, Ledger Shredder. Okay. Ragavan. So I'm into Swords, the Ledger Shredder, and the Ragavan. I think if they were removal spells like Fatal Push, I'd be a little more reticent because the Lurrus is just going to buy them back, and so accruing a little bit of value is maybe something you can justify. But from here, I think I'm just going to Swords. The question is, do I Swords before or after the Connive? I think I let the Connive resolve. And then Swords the Shredder first. And then this is kind of interesting. Do you Swords end of turn by fetching a Tundra, or do you untap? I think in the game I Swords now because I want to be able to call up Lurrus next turn, and the White Source at least lets me recast Lurrus too, so I think that's the play. This does leave me off of red. I do have the Lotus, so I don't hate that. Okay. And this really sucks. I think I have to force it, but it's really... I mean, I think this is just a forced play. I have to force it. I had to cast it. My hand just does nothing. I think I have to hope they don't have Swords. I have to hope that I draw into some sort of recursive action. But I think I have to... No, I let it go. I mean, I also don't... I mean, I don't have any action, so maybe I do have to let it go. I'm actually really surprised watching that. I think I should have forced. I don't know if it would have gone poorly. I think often it would have. Let's see what was in hand. Pyroblast and Merchant Scroll. So it would have gotten Pyroblasted. And maybe that's just too dangerous, because Pyroblast and Fluster both cover it. No, did Fluster cover it? I had just the Lotus untapped. Swords, Force, Fluster. 3 cards. So yeah, it would have been 4. So I wouldn't have been able to pay. Here, I think I just play Volk and strip mine the Volk. Why didn't I strip mine? I think I should have strip mined. What am I hoping to get instead? I may have just been on tilt. Maybe I'm trying to get one more land so I can hard cast Force without the Lotus. I think I should have strip mined the Volk. I know they've got a Pyroblast, so at the worst case, that may mean their Lotus gets cracked for red at some point. I think I should have strip mined. Merchant Scroll for Ancestral. Yeah, and see, I know they've got the Pyroblast, so I can't even force that. That feels bad. Now it feels like this is unwinnable from here. So now Lurrus is in hand, Crypt is in play, and I'm essentially shut out. Now I waste the Tundra. It keeps him off of Lurrus, which I guess is fine, but only nominally. Yeah, this game's over. Okay, so I think the learning points from here. I think game 1 I kept a bit of a. I at least see where I was going. I think it was just too weak. I think there was more I could have done with that one. But this game again is over. We don't need to continue this. And then the second one, I think some sideboarding improvements can be made for the mirror. I think in general, I have not played a lot of mirrors with this. This deck seems to be a little less popular lately. The Tinker variants are definitely more common than with Lurrus. But if the mirror match is something that is a consideration, well, there may be a good way of pivoting pretty powerfully. I'm not sure what, but I'm interested to workshop that a little bit. All right, well, that's round 7. I do in fact lose this game, but I hope you return for round 8.